Do you like Kanye West? If you said yes, then great. I invite you to stick around and watch this video. And if you said no, that's okay. You can stick around and watch this video and maybe get something else out of it when I don't talk about Kanye directly. Hey, my name is Pavel, and today I'm going to be talking about the first documentary type thing on my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about the Kanye West documentary, Jeen-Yuhs, which I honestly didn't expect to like when I heard that it was coming out. And the reason I didn't really expect to like it is because I feel like documentaries about artists and like movies about artists in general in the recent while that have been coming out have just not been amazing. Like, for example, I remember when I watched Lil Peep's documentary on Netflix. Was it on Netflix? Maybe it was on something else. I was extremely excited, and then when I watched that, I was kind of like, oh, okay, that didn't really give me a great insight into his life compared to stuff that I already knew, for example, through like interviews or just listening to his music, following him on Twitter when like he was alive and stuff like that. And when I watched the interview, there wasn't much content that I hadn't already seen. And in general, with even movies around singers and just musicians and actors and stuff like that have not been amazing. Like Bohemian Rhapsody I didn't really like. Straight Outta Compton wasn't my favorite. So when I heard that Kanye's is coming out, I wasn't going to watch it, and then my friends were like, hey, this is extremely good, you should watch it. And yeah, I basically watched it and I really, really loved it. But I didn't really love it because of Kanye directly, but that's something I'm going to touch on throughout this video. So let's get into it. The way this documentary is structured, it's divided into 3 parts. The first 2 are focused on his career before his first album dropping and kind of everything leading up to that. And then the third part, which I like the least, kind of focuses on his life now, basically in like the 2010s. And I think it goes to 2020, I'm not too sure. The reason I did not like the third part before I kind of focus on the positives of the first 2 parts is because I felt like I've already followed Kanye in the last 5, 6, 7, 8 years. I don't really know how long I've been following, and I've seen everything happen. And obviously he's been at his most controversial in the last while. I just basically know what his life has been like. So the only great bonus of the third part for me was just getting inside interviews and clips of everything going on in his life. Like when Kids See Ghosts was being made and The Life of Pablo was being made. It was extremely interesting to see kind of like a little bit of behind the scenes documentary footage of that and kind of seeing the process. But actually a funny story about The Life of Pablo, I remember when that came out and I downloaded it illegally and I got a letter basically being like, if you do anything like this again, you're going to go to jail or something along those lines. I was in a lot of legal trouble. I would have been in a lot of legal trouble, but I wasn't because I didn't do it again. The last part I wasn't a big fan of, but it was extremely interesting to see. But since Cudi, who was kind of like the main voiceover and the person behind the camera for this video, his relationship with Kanye kind of falls apart and he doesn't see him as much throughout the final part. It's just not as interesting. But that brings me to why I loved the first and second part so much. As I said, the first 2 parts kind of focus on Kanye's life and how he kind of became big. But one of the kind of like small criticisms, but I know it's kind of, you're not able to change it, is that I wish I kind of seen him becoming a big producer. But it kind of explains in the first part that Cudi only started filming him when he decided to move to New York. And before that, he obviously built his connections and had a decent foundation of being a great producer and having connections with people like Jay-Z and stuff like that. So that's my only like wish that I had for this documentary, is that I kind of wish I saw more. But seeing the build up and kind of his relationship with everyone throughout the first and second part made this extremely motivational. Like seeing Kanye 22 years ago, 21 years ago, compared to now, he's basically the same person. And I think that's why it's extremely interesting to kind of see him having his beliefs and stick to them. Obviously, he's had more recent beliefs that are controversial that I don't agree with, but I'm strictly speaking about his passions for music and him just kind of being self-motivated and knowing that he was going to make it. And I find that extremely motivating. I find it motivating because I know it's so cliche, but like nobody cared about him. Like nobody really believed in him as a musician. And I think that's what kind of fueled him and drove him to be as successful as he is today. And that kind of brings me to the main point I kind of wanted to make about this documentary, why it's so amazing. I feel like it's so rare to see people in life know exactly what they want to do. Like he knew he wanted to be a musician. He said that he made beats to rap over them, not sell them. And I found that extremely inspiring because, I don't know, I'm just so envious and jealous of people who just know what they want to do in life. They know their passion. They know what they strive at. And I'm not that person. And I really, really, really wish I was. And after watching this documentary, I just felt extremely motivated to just find that thing. And I know I'm like 3 or 4 YouTube videos in, but like I really want to make this work. I'm not trying to make this into like an inspirational speech or something like that, but this is just how this documentary made me feel. It made me feel like that for a number of reasons. For example, his extremely close relationship with his mum, that obviously people who watch this will know, was extremely beautiful to watch. And every time he was with his mum Donda, like it just made me extremely emotional, because I feel like I have quite a weird relationship with my mum, and it just made me want to give her a big hug. And especially in the last episode after Donda, his mum, passed, he sang, they showed a clip of him singing Hey Mama, which is a song dedicated to his mum, and it just made me want to cry.
I know I act a fool, but I promise you I'm going back to school, and I appreciate what you have for me.
It made me extremely emotional, and I just really loved it. And I love that this documentary doesn't focus on just Kanye. Like, Cootie's the person who had the archived footage for like the last 20 years, and it focuses on his life. It's not specifically just about Kanye West doing this, Kanye West doing that. There's so many segments, and like probably half an hour up to an hour just focused on Cootie's life. And I really love that. And I feel like many documentaries don't do that. They don't really talk about the person filming. They specifically speak about the artist to kind of promote them. But honestly, I don't think Kanye West needs any more promotion. But I really love that about this documentary, and I think it works so well. 2 seconds, I'm actually going to take off my jumper because I'm extremely warm. And I think with a documentary like this, you take out of it what you want. Like, for example, as I mentioned, I want to find that thing that I'm good at, and I want to work on that thing that I would be potentially good at, if that makes sense. But I think if you're looking for like inspiration with music, or like trying to just kind of maybe reignite a relationship with your family and stuff like that, I feel like this documentary touches on so many heartstrings and just kind of plays in your mind. Like, I've been watching this for 3 weeks. There's a new episode every week, so it's been on my mind for 3 weeks, and it's kind of why I wanted to make a video about it. Also, there's a part in the 3rd episode where Kanye West is drunk, and I never thought I needed to see Kanye West drunk, but it was amazing, and he's extremely funny.
They love the album. I can't walk down the street. Yay, we love the album. I say, man, I know it's great, isn't it? I love it too. I love it too.
And I also found it extremely interesting that this was kind of like an archived documentary for the last 20 years. It didn't feel like a cash grab. Like, I think it's like 15 or 20 rolls of film that I don't even remember taking, and I cannot wait to get them developed to see what sort of pictures I take. And I feel like there's that sort of attitude throughout this documentary as well, where Cootie had like 20 years worth of footage, and he just, when it was 2020, because it says it in the last episode, he was like, right, this is the time to actually look through it all. And I think that's amazing, and I just really love that approach to filmmaking. It didn't feel rushed, aside from like the last episode. Like, I understood why there needed to be a recap for the last, like, for the 2010s, because Cootie's relationship with Kanye kind of fell apart. I feel like if there was 2 big episodes, like 2 2-hour episodes, I think this documentary would have worked extremely well, strictly because the first 2 episodes kind of focus on raw footage of Kanye West doing his thing, convincing people how he wants to be the greatest. Like, I remember he went to Rockefeller Records, kind of like headquarters, and just went into like random offices and started playing his music, and it was just great to see. Like, it's just fascinating to see that he has not changed as a person at all. I don't know if it's just my timeline, but I feel like there hasn't been much discussion regarding this documentary, and I don't know, I just feel like compared to other artists, documentaries and movies, that this is genuinely like authentic, and it feels really nice. I think the general like essence of it all is just very nice, and I don't know, I feel like I don't really speak about things like this ever, but I'm so glad I watched it, and I would really recommend you to watch it as well. If you have like, I don't know, like 6.5 hours spare, maybe 5 hours. There's 3 episodes, they're 90 minutes each. Watch it. I mean, it's so interesting. I feel like that's all I kind of want to say about it. It's great. I love the first 2 parts a lot more than the 3rd, but I did expect that, but also it's justified, and I understood why it happened. I understood why we couldn't get more. You know, it works. The first 2 episodes are amazing. Please watch them if you have some time. Yeah, thank you so much for watching this video. I always ask at the end, what should I watch next? And I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.
Everybody says, who does he think he is? I just told you who I thought I was.
Okay.